Welcome to another edition of Currently in Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano, and on today's program, it's all about back to school. Quincy School Superintendent Kevin Mulvey and Assistant Superintendent Erin Perkins will be joining us about the new school year later on during this program. First, though, as always, we take a look at the weather and the news for you. Currently in Quincy, partially sunny out there. It's 68 degrees right now. We'll have a mix of sun and clouds and some smoke today from the western wildfires. Highs today in the mid to upper 70s. For tonight, partly cloudy and in the lower 60s. Pretty nice weekend coming up. I think tomorrow's the better of the 2 days with more sunshine and mild temperatures in the low 80s. A few more clouds and maybe some more of that smoke around on Sunday. High Sunday again in the low 80s. And looks like some rain moving in, but not till Monday night. Most of the day Monday, partly cloudy and a high 80 degrees. Again, some hazy sunshine and 68 in Quincy right now. Checking news for you today, still no action from the state legislature on Governor Baker's economic development bill that would provide rebates of at least $250 for many Massachusetts taxpayers. That rebate would be based on a 1986 law that requires the state to refund taxpayers when state revenue surpluses meet a certain threshold. During our coverage of this week's state primary back on Tuesday, House Speaker Rahm Mariano of Quincy said lawmakers are still in a wait-and-see mode.
And that sort of made me question where we were in the spending process when you had the price of the price of gasoline getting up over $5, the fear of a real recession on the horizon, and folks being very concerned about employment. It was a signal for me to slow down a little bit on the spending. And we did. And it was my position that if we owe the $3 billion, we'll pay the $3 billion. If the law is on the books and it says that we owe it, we owe it. No one's trying to duck the responsibility of paying the $3 billion. But at the same token, it does change the way you view some of your other expenditures. And, we have a lot of things that have come up in the meantime. We have the T, the federal report on the T. No one is really sure how much that is going to cost. And obviously to Quincy, the T is extremely important, and anyone on the South Shore. The red line is very, very important. It looks like we'll get the orange line straightened out, but the next big problem is the red line. And so we need money to pay for that.
Mariano said taxpayers will likely see at least one rebate check. However, a separate proposal from the legislature for a second $250 rebate check remains in question. A Dorchester man has been charged with breaking into a house in Quincy while a woman was at home recently. Police say 33-year-old Colin Wallace got into the house at 75 Hamilton Avenue, in the Wollaston area, just after 5 a.m. this past Sunday. The woman who was upstairs heard noises downstairs, called police. Wallace was arrested after fleeing out a basement window. Police say he also tried to break into several other homes and garages in that area. Wallace faces charges that include breaking and entering, larceny, resisting arrest, and placing a person in fear. City of Quincy has installed its first ever outdoor ping pong tables. The Department of Natural Resources says it's installed those concrete all-weather ping pong tables at Faxon Park and at the Welcome Young Playground in North Quincy. There is a 2-person and a 4-way ping pong table at Faxon Park, right at the top of the road between the pavilion and the softball diamond, and a table near the new tennis courts and playground at the Welcome Young Playground. Commissioner Dave Murphy said the new tables were a suggestion from residents. The tables are available on a first-come, first-served basis. No reservations are accepted, and players are encouraged to bring their own paddles and balls. Players are also requested to limit their matches to 1 hour if other players are waiting to use the tables. Well, about 10 10,000 Quincy Public School students return to classes this week after summer break. Grades 1 through 9 returned to school on Wednesday, 10 through 12 yesterday, and today is orientation for pre-kindergarten and kindergarten students. Their first day of school is Monday. Quincy Mayor Thomas Koch said that much has been done in the school system to make improvements over the summer.
I do congratulate and thank Superintendent Mulvey and Assistant Superintendent Perkins, and I mean the last few years has just been an incredible stress and pressure on the school system to continue to deliver for our kids and families during some crazy times. So we're all hoping for some normalcy this year. They spent a lot of time this summer filling a lot of open positions, retirees and so forth, whether they're teachers or nurses or still looking for bus drivers if there's anybody out there interested. Yep. They worked very hard. And, of course, the public building side spent a lot of time, as does the custodial staff, getting the buildings physically ready for the new year. And I think we're in good shape. There's always room to do additional things, but I think we're in real good shape for opening this week. And certainly we welcome all the kids back. Remind the drivers out there, kids are out and about going to school, so please be careful. School buses will be stopping. You can't go around them when the lights are flashing. Just a reminder to be a little careful with the kids walking back to school.
Really, the only pandemic requirement still in effect is that anyone testing positive for COVID should isolate at home for 5 days and wear a mask for 5 days after symptoms subside. Masks are still required in school nurses' offices. We'll learn more about what's happening in Quincy Public Schools coming up next. Superintendent Kevin Mulvey and Assistant Superintendent Erin Perkins will be joining us. That's next. We welcome back to the program what's become an annual tradition here at QATV is the Superintendent and Assistant Superintendent of Quincy Public Schools, Kevin Mulvey and Erin Perkins. Welcome back.
Hey, Joe.
Thanks
Great to
for
see
having
you.
us.
Thanks for
Yeah.
having us back.
Pleasure. I look forward to this, actually. I really do every year because there's so much happening. And as I mentioned, 10,000 students in Quincy Public Schools this year. Is that an increase, Kevin?
It is an
enrollment?
increase,
It is.
yes. And, you know, it's probably an increase of about 150 to 200 kids. We were teetering on that 10,000 mark, and as of right now, we are at that point. So,
Okay.
yes.
Is that more than it's been in recent years? Less than?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
It's probably between 150 to 200 more than the last couple of years. So
Younger kids, older kids, are all over
it's a mix right through the system,
Okay.
so which is good for us because it helps us obviously to distribute that number throughout the system,
Right.
rather than having it in one particular grade or one particular school. So it has been evenly distributed throughout the district, which is great.
Can you attribute it to anything in particular, the new development that's going on in the city, or just an influx of immigrants, or what are you seeing?
I think it's probably a little bit of both.
Okay.
I think also word is getting out to our communities with regard to how well our special education programs are doing here in Quincy in relation to other surrounding cities and towns. Our reputation with regard to special education is certainly something that people are being attracted to Quincy for, as well as our other general education.
It's obvious the State Department of Education's taking notice because they featured the Quincy schools in that video.
Absolutely, yeah. We were very happy to be invited to participate in the back to school video for the entire state, actually.
Oh.
And so Mrs. Perkins and other members of the SLT worked with them to put together the video. Mrs. Perkins, as you can see, was a star of that show as well.
Yes.
So we're very proud of being invited, and actually very excited to see the video in its completion stage.
Well, we're pleased to feature it in the community here at QATV as well.
Great.
Erin, we should talk about COVID because you have been the COVID queen, unfortunately, for the past couple of years. I know it's dominated, your workload certainly.
Yeah.
Probably maybe a little less now than it has in a couple of years past.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot less,
Good.
which is really, really nice.
Yeah.
So never in a million years did I think that my expertise would become COVID. But, that's what happened. But we're really excited that this year, for the most part, we're very much back to normal,
Right.
which is great. It's great for our kids, it's great for our families, and definitely great for our nurses.
Sure, yeah. So No masks, no testing?
Right, yep, no
None of that?
masks, no
Okay.
testing. We do have a ton, I think over 18,000 home test kits. So if families, someone has symptoms or the nurse sends your child home because you have symptoms, the nurse can absolutely send home a home test kit, so that families can feel free to go ahead and do that. And the only regulations right now, or the only requirements, are that if you do test positive for COVID, that you would stay home, as you mentioned earlier, for 5 days. And then when you come back to school, your symptoms should be resolving, and that you would wear a mask for 5 days if you were still testing positive.
Okay, all right. I checked the vaccination rate in the city. It's over 80%, and the booster
Yeah.
rate is over 50%. So it's very high,
Yeah.
comparable with the state. Are you still working with Manat Health Center for vaccination clinics?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we constantly partner with Manat. Manat is a great partner with us.
Yeah.
They have been prior to COVID with regard to the flu shots, but they really stepped up during COVID with regard to the COVID vaccination process, as well as the flu vaccination
Right.
process now too. So we continue that partnership with Manat, and I should also mention that we received another 18,000 test kits yesterday from the health commissioner,
Oh.
who's receiving a large shipment from the state,
Okay.
and we obviously accepted those just in case we need them.
Right.
Certainly, if any family, as Mrs. Perkins mentioned, needs them, please let us know. We'll make sure you get them. Every school has been allotted already a distribution of 12,000, and that's been spread throughout the district. So we have plenty of test kits available for people
Okay.
that need them. And we will be partnering with Manat to set up vaccinations for those students or families that may need them as well.
Very good. All right. We should talk about some changes in staff with that extra 150 or plus students. You need more teachers, right, Kevin?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have we just completed our new teacher orientation last week. We have approximately 80 new staff
Wow.
members, and that includes obviously special education teachers, nurses, general education teachers, health teachers. Guidance counselors, runs the gamut, and so all those teachers are on board and ready to go, and they are evenly distributed as well throughout the district. So it's not the highest level of new teachers that we've ever had,
really?
but it certainly was high this year.
Okay.
I think our highest level at any given year was maybe 7 years ago when we had a large number of retirees, and that was around 125.
Oh, okay.
So.
Do you need more?
We definitely need staff in key areas, in
Okay.
particular bus drivers,
Yes.
bus monitors, and paraprofessional staff. So if anyone is interested in applying for those positions or knows anyone that may be interested in these positions, please reach out to us via our website or just call us directly, and we'll be happy to have those individuals in and speak to them about the opportunities in those areas and other areas that they may be interested in the school department, because particularly bus drivers and paraprofessionals right now, it's a critical need for us.
Okay. Not just here, but nationwide, really. Right?
And that is the case
Shortage, yeah.
statewide and nationwide as well, yes.
Sure. And I know, Aaron, you're talking about buses. You specifically wanted to talk about safety.
Yes,
Yeah.
the bus drivers are really doing their best right now. They are stretched very thin, and so we are asking for everyone's patience as they, get familiar with the routes, get familiar with their pickups and drop-offs, and then also, I know the mayor mentioned it earlier, but just bus safety, they do have to make stops, and it is a very stressful thing for a bus driver to not only be, making sure that the students get picked up by their appropriate adults, but also then having to watch the cars on the other side, when they put out that stop sign. So we're just asking everyone to be patient and please heed the stop signs when those bus drivers put them out, because they are really doing their best to keep our kids safe.
Sure. I'm sure you're working with the police department in that
Yes.
role as well.
Yep. Absolutely. And Mike Drakio, the Director of Transportation and Security.
Sure.
Yep.
See, we're on the topic of security. We should talk about some new staff in the security division, Kevin.
Yes, we've, thanks to the mayor and the school committee,
Yeah.
we've added 3 additional security guards to increase our security staffing at the 2 high schools. So we'll have a complement of 7 security guards at Quincy High and 5 at North Quincy High.
Okay.
And the ratio, of course, the difference in the numbers is based on the footprint of each school and the need for additional staffing at that school. So that's why there are 7 at Quincy High, which has a larger footprint, and 5 at North Quincy High. So we're very happy to have that additional safety measure for our students and families moving forward.
Yes, it's important to note that all the schools are locked during the day, correct?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
all the schools are locked. They all have safety protocols. Those protocols are reviewed every year. Obviously, they were reviewed this week and last week at new teacher orientation. And it's essential that everyone works together to make sure all the doors are locked, no doors are left open or pegged open, and that everything, including windows, are secured at night as well.
Right, yeah. We don't have to talk anymore about school security because we know what's going on in the world, and I know it's at the
Yes.
forefront of everybody in the school system's mind, as well as the administration, the mayor's
Absolutely.
office as well, sure.
And in addition, the mayor has funded a security assessment as well that will be happening within the next few weeks to do a full security assessment of the entire, every building within the school department. So that will cover safety protocols being followed, as well as software and hardware relative to security as well.
Segueing into software, there is an information technology staff at the Quincy Public Schools.
Yes, we have, happy to say, again, with the support of the mayor and the school committee, we were able to hire 3 additional information technology staff members, as well as a webmaster. All of those positions will be designed to assist students and families with regard to their technology needs, but also, just as important, is the communication going out to families and making sure families are receiving all the communications that they need to receive and that the district is producing. So we're excited to have the 3 IT techs on, as well as our new webmaster who will be starting next week to help us essentially make sure that all of our web pages are up to date, that there's new content on there, that the content is interesting and easily accessible by our students and families.
And parents and guardians can sign up also for an alert system, is that right?
Yes, they can,
Yeah.
yes, and that will make sure that that is done through our information technology department.
Okay.
If they have any questions about that, they can contact their principal,
Okay.
and we'll make sure that they get set up through our Aspen and student information system and any other alerts, student messenger alerts that they may need. That'll be particularly important during winter weather, when we may have to, hopefully not this year,
Right.
but we may have to cancel from time to time due to inclement weather.
Sure, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about some shifting that's been happening in personnel, particularly the principalships. Starting with the high schools, it's a big
Yes,
change. Yeah.
so we had a number of changes this year, and I know, obviously students and families were made aware of that in June, and then we sent out a new communication again just prior to the return to school. So we have Principal Ford, who was the former principal at North Quincy High School, shifting over to take on the additional challenge of managing a school with a CVTE program. For
folks who don't know,
so the Center for Technical Education.
yeah.
So that's all of our vocational curriculum departments. And so Mr. Ford was excited about that. He's over there now managing Quincy High, and we promoted Mr. Dan Gilbert, the former principal of Broadmeadows Middle School, to become the new North Quincy High principal.
Right, yeah.
So both are very excited, and we're very excited to have them on board to help us manage those schools and make sure that they're doing the very best for students and families.
Yeah, and that really triggered kind of a domino
It
effect
did,
down the line.
it did, and
Yeah.
there's a whole list of changes after that. So principal of Snug Harbor Community School, Michael Marani, became the principal of Broadmeadows Middle School. Assistant principal Scott Perfettio then took his position at the Snug Harbor Community School. Courtney Mitchell, who was the principal of the Marymount Elementary School, became the principal of Southwest Middle School. Sue Shea Connor, former vice principal of Central Middle School, became the principal of Marymount Elementary School. We had Janet Loftus, who was the principal of Beechwood Knoll Elementary School, become the principal of the Lincoln Hancock Community School. We had her assistant principal, Marisa Forrester, become the principal of Beechwood Knoll Elementary School.
Do you have like a flow chart?
So we do. We included it as in our letter, so hopefully that's easily accessible and reviewable by our students and families. So it
You
is.
passed the test, by the way, with flying colors.
I think I captured everybody. So, and of course, we have the addition of some new administrators as well. Former Principal Larry Taglieri is now the Director of Academic Programs.
Right, yeah.
and we have Kim Conley, who is now our new Director of Equity, Diversity, Inclusion as well.
Yeah, can we talk a little bit more about Kim and
Sure.
and her role in
Yes.
the schools? I know that's a brand new position, right?
Brand new position, and it's a position that really touches every part of the school system, from hiring to curriculum to just general student needs. And so Kim has extensive experience in dealing with equity, diversity, inclusion in her role as an administrator in the Boston Public Schools.
Right, yeah.
And so we're very excited to have Kim on board to help us with all of our EDI initiatives. An important part of that is communication to students and families with regard to these initiatives,
Yep.
and with regard to addressing EDI issues within the district.
Sure. We're running out of time, unfortunately, but I want to talk a bit about curriculum, because
Sure.
that's Erin's role, and there are some new programs I know you want to talk about.
Yes, absolutely. We have a couple new programs in the elementary school. We have in mathematics last year, our grades 3 to 5 teachers started the program Illustrative Math. We're now expanding that to the K to 5, and so it's a great hands-on math program. It incorporates strategies that we really focused on actually before COVID, with the idea of guided math centers, hands-on perseverance through problems, and students finding multiple ways of solving mathematical problems and equations. So we're really excited about that. It definitely utilizes a lot of technology, and we'll certainly be having like parent information sessions as we get the program up and running throughout the whole elementary school now that it's rolling out to all of the grades.
Okay.
So because it's definitely different, and I know that that's an area that we hear a lot from parents, is math is no longer taught maybe the exact same way that it was taught when they were children.
Oh, that's very true.
Yeah. So that is something that I know our families are always interested in, and certainly something that we will do this year as well as we roll out the new curriculum. We also have a new ELA curriculum that I have to thank Bridget Vaughn for, who was our coordinator of English language literacy.
Okay.
And she worked with the Department of Education on a grant called the GLEAM grant, and so a lot of the funding for the new curriculum is actually coming from the Department of Education, thanks to her work. Principals piloted schools piloted and teachers piloted multiple programs last year. They worked with consultants from the Hill for Literacy. The principals also worked, there was a group of principals that also worked on this grant as well. And through all that work, they decided on the program called CKLA, which we're really excited about, because it's based on scientific principles of reading, and it really focuses on those early reading skills, like phonics and phonemic awareness, which are so crucial to reading development in our elementary school students. And so we're really excited about that. And so that will be rolling out. Those materials should be arriving mid-year, around January. So we'll
Okay.
be rolling that out in January.
Okay.
And the teachers are really excited about it. So.
Do you think this is going to, I'm sure you're concerned about the lack of learning that's taken place over the past couple of years, and the direction that you need to go now to kind of catch up, if you will.
I do. I think that, some of these new programs are really great. And I also think that, some of the other things that our staff have been doing, like we now have a dyslexia screener that we administer starting in kindergarten. So that's new for us.
Okay.
We had the dibbles, but now we have that piece, so we can capture students early, and we give it every year. And so that's really excellent. So, those kinds of proactive strategies, I think really focusing on the phonemic awareness, phonological awareness, and phonics development, those core foundational skills in the early elementary grades, which this program does. And our old program was not as strong in those areas.
Okay.
So I think that all of those things are proactive to hopefully prevent, future reading problems. And the same thing with the math program. It's very hands-on. Students really explore multiple strategies for learning, and encouraging the idea of math talk, to have actual conversations with other students and teachers, you know, about problems and questions in math. And so I think that all of those things are proactive strategies that will hopefully, you know, combat some of the learning loss that occurred during the COVID years.
Very good. I know that's a concern of parents and educators alike, for
Yes.
sure. We just don't have a couple of minutes left, Kevin, but in 2027, you hope to have a brand new Squantum Elementary School.
Yes, we hope to have a brand new Squantum Elementary School in 2027. We hope to have a brand new learning center for serving our students with autism, and that is the Richard DeCristofaro Learning Center, which
Yes.
we hope to have open 2 years from around this September. So that would be September of 2024.
Okay.
So we have 2 very exciting projects underway, and we're looking forward to them being completed as quickly as possible to obviously serve our students and families.
Yeah, and I know there's a whole public process that will go through for
Yes,
both of those
particularly
projects.
with regard to
the
the Squantum
Yep.
Elementary School. We're in the process now of seeking a program manager for the actual building of the Squantum Elementary School. So
Yep.
that will take several steps to move forward, and that person will be responsible for that.
Well, it's over 100 years old, so I guess it's time.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, it's time for a replacement.
Yeah. No school on Election Day, November 8th. We should remind folks.
Yes.
Early release days are on Wednesdays again this
Right.
year.
Correct. Yeah.
And have a very successful and productive school year. Thank you both.
Thank you so
Thanks
much, Joe. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Just enough time to check the forecast for you for the rest of the day today. Kind of some hazy sunshine out there with the smoke, believe it or not, from the western wildfires in the skies. Highs today in the mid-70s. Lows tonight in the lower 60s. Nice tomorrow. More sun than today. And warmer too. Low 80s. A little cloudy on Sunday. And some rain not till Monday night. In the mid-80s again on Monday. Thanks again to Kevin Mulvey, Erin Perkins for joining us from the Quincy School Department today. Thank you to our crew. Thank you for watching. By the way, we're off on Monday. We're upgrading our studio lighting here, so check us next Friday. Hopefully the folks from the Quincy Animal Shelter will be here, but check our website anytime. That's qatv.org. You'll find our latest programs there. There's news and information, video on demand, live streaming, much more. For all of us here at QATV, I'm Joe Catalano. Have a great weekend.